Okay. Hello. So happy to be here with all of you tonight. You all may have caught me just, wiggling around over here. I am hopeful. I am full of prayer. I am full of belief, and I am full of possibility, because I know for a fact, without a shadow of a doubt, without any thought, without any hesitation, I am crystal clear that if I can be free, anyone can be free. Let me repeat, I am crystal clear that if I can be free, anyone can be free. So I don't know what you came here for. If it is because your relationships are out of order, if it's because you feel like you're down and out, if you feel like the money is funny and the change is strange, if you're not getting where you want to be with your career, if you have not bounced back since the start of the pandemic. As a matter of fact, if you are worse off now after the pandemic than you were before, whatever it is, what I am here to tell you is that if I can be free, anyone can be free. Now, you've heard me talk a lot about my past, my background, living check to Monday. Living check to check is a blessing. That means you get paid on Friday, and by the next payday, you're broke. But check to Monday is a whole entirely different game. It means you get paid on Friday, you kick it on the weekend, you pay on your past due bills, and by Monday, you're broke. You've heard me talk about living that lifestyle, making 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, $90,000 a month. You've heard me talk about no matter how much money you make, if you don't change your mind, then the dollars will never add up. Because if you make $50,000 a year and you spend $60,000, you live in check to Monday. If you make $200,000 a year and you spend $300,000, you live in check to Monday. If you make $20 million a year, but you're spending $40 million, you're living check to Monday. I just was reminded of a video with T-Pain where he talked about there was a time when he had $40 million in his bank account, and then he did not have money to buy his family Burger King. How do you go from having $40 million in your bank account to not being able to buy Burger King? What I am here to tell you today is how I broke through to become free. What I'm here to tell you today is something that if you take these nuggets, if you just learn the lesson, you can get the blessing. Because guess what? You don't have to make the same mistakes over and over again. You don't have to make the same mistakes I did. You don't have to make the same mistakes your parents did, the generations before you. You don't have to make the same mistakes you made yesterday, because it all comes down to a choice. You see, I had basically told everybody everything about all that I was doing, and I was helping so many people achieve the dream of home ownership, and I was buying houses and buying cars, and I was giving money to people when I was broke, even when they didn't think I was. And I didn't want to not give it to them because I didn't have the courage to say no, and I didn't want to fail giving to them because I didn't want them to think that I wasn't who I said I was, which wasn't the truth. But it all came tumbling down in 2006. What's your year? What's your freedom year? Is this going to be your freedom year? My freedom year was 2006. You see, 2006, at the age of 35 years old, I had finally run out of all the mess I had created. I had finally run out of excuses. I had finally run out of complaints. I had finally run out of ways to dodge and hide the truth. And the truth is that I was the reason I was not free. You see, when my back was up against the wall, when I had spent every single dime, and I remember not being able to pay, you know how dear my grandmother is to me. You all know what Grandma B means to me. And I had moved her out of the projects, and I had moved her into a home in the suburbs of Chicago. And that month, I couldn't pay the mortgage. That month, I couldn't pay the light bill. That month, I couldn't pay the gas bill. That's in her place. That month, I couldn't pay my own mortgage. That month, I couldn't pay my own light bill, my own gas bill. I couldn't even buy food. I remember at that particular time, there was a time when I only had $5 at church on a Sunday. And I remember this preacher coming, and he was selling his book that was normally $30, and he was only selling it for $5. And hundreds of people went to the back of the church, and I couldn't go because the $5 I had was the only money I had. It was the money that I needed to feed my children and my husband after that day. So let me tell you, whatever you think about me, you might think I'm lucky. You might think, oh my goodness, Dr. Lynn has it all together. Dr. Lynn is smart. Dr. Lynn has something I don't have. You might have a whole boatload of excuses. You might say, I have all these kids. I didn't get my GED. My relationship is bad. You might have a whole list of excuses. But what I am telling you is I have been there and I have done that. So that year, I decided to be free. Let me tell you what that conversation was like with myself. Let me tell you what that experience was like. That experience was when I hit rock bottom completely. Completely. There was no other trick for me to try. There was no other loan I could go get. There was no way I could continue to fake it. I had to face myself. You see, you cannot fix what you will not face. And I am telling you, if you are not free, if there's an area of your life that is causing you pain, that is causing you strain, that makes you feel like you're in bondage, that makes you feel like you have no hope, then what I am telling you is that you are the person to change. Now, there may be other people. There may be a significant other. There may be children. There may be colleagues. There may be old friends. There may be old boyfriends, old girlfriends, ex-husbands, ex-wives. They may be coming after you. But let me tell you, the only person you have control over is you. And you have the power. You have the ability. It is in you. All you have to do is make the decision. And the decision that I made that day was this: God, if you save me from myself, when people see me, they will see you. That was the decision. I did not ask for money, although I was broke as a joke. I did not ask for fame, although I thought fame would help me be free. I did not ask for people to stop talking about me, and they were talking about me like a dog. My own family members, people who I thought were my friends, folks who I would invite over to my big, beautiful home when I was feeding 200-300 people and people were taking food home. All those people who were talking about me, I didn't even ask for that to change. I simply asked for me to change. And what I am telling you is that day, everything changed for me. Because that day, I realized that if I told the truth, and that truth started with myself, then I could begin to make the choices that were eventually going to show up as the results that I wanted in my life. And what I'm saying to you is that's you. So I trudged along. I did a hard thing. I admitted things to people that I had never admitted. Folks that I could not pay, that I was dodging, I went and tried to tell the truth. Some people didn't want to hear what I had to say. And let me tell you something. On this path, as you attempt to recover, as you attempt to be free, there are some people who are going to cheer you on, and there are some people who are going to wish you pain. There are some people who are going to say, I told you so. Let me tell you something. Don't get mad. Don't get sad. Let me tell you something. Get free. Because when you get free, some people can't be told, they have to be showed. And you will be able to show what freedom looks like. And you can't show what freedom looks like unless there was bondage. So I made the choice. I started to rebuild step by step by step by step. I remember being on a business trip and I had a corporate card. And the corporate card was the only money I had available. I didn't have $5 on that business trip to buy a pack of gum. I didn't have $5 to tip anybody. I didn't have $5. When I'm telling you, my bank account was negative and there were no credit cards with any available credit. So I know when you say you're going through something, when you say you want to start a class or you want to get out, but you just can't do it, and then you give up, let me tell you something. I have been there. I was on a 2-week business trip and I had $0 in cash. The only thing I had to spend was the corporate credit card, and there were rules. But let me tell you what I had. I had hope and I had my book. Do you have something that you can use? Do you have something? I heard someone say something about a video that I posted and said, well, should everybody have a home-based business? Yes, everybody should have a home-based business. Everybody should have the ability to go out and make a sale doing something. I don't care if it's delivering for Uber. I don't care if it's DoorDash. I don't care if it's your book or your shoestring or your lollipop or your popsicle. Everybody should have a home-based business. You should have something that you can pick up in exchange for money, especially in a time of need. And that exchange should be something that someone else needs. So there were times when I was not free, when I was in bondage, when I did not know if I was going to be able to go up, down, left, or right, that all I had was my desire and my willingness to change, my corporate credit card to take care of business, and I could not take care of any personal business with that, and my book that I could sell. If I could go speak at a library, if I could go teach at a bookstore, if I could go to a group of friends who maybe had a book club, that's all I had. And let me tell you something. The tide began to turn for me. The tide began to turn. Let me tell you why. Because I started telling the truth. Is there anything in your life right now that you're hiding from people? I was hiding the fact that I was having money struggles. I was hiding the fact that the money wasn't coming in or lasting as long as I thought it should. I was hiding. And let me tell you something about hiding. Sometimes when we're in bondage, we call it, well, I'm a private person. No, it's not privacy if you're hiding a lie. It is not privacy when we are hiding lies. Okay? Certainly there are some things we should be private about. But if there is an area in your life that you want to exfoliate like dead skin, if there are things that you want to uproot, if there's a change that you want to make, you need to find someone that you can trust and you need to talk about it. It's one of the reasons why I created New Wealth University, because there's a community of people just like me, just like you, who don't know where to go, who don't know what to do, who need other people to speak to, who can understand and relate. So I made that decision to start to speak about it. And when I started to talk about living check to Monday as a young, Black, educated woman in her 30s, then I began to discover that there were thousands, hundreds of thousands of people just like me. So do not hide what it is that you are trying to overcome. Doesn't mean that you have to go outside down the block and tell everybody, because some people don't need to be in your business. Okay? Some people don't. But who can you trust? Who loves you? Who wants to root you on? Who wants to be your coach? Who has arrived where you're trying to go? That you can say to this person, I'm at a level 2. I know you're at a level 7. What did you do? Not when you were at a level 2, but what did you do when you were at a level 1 to get to 2 and pass 2 to 3? Talk about it and communicate about it. So I began to talk about it. And sooner or later, I was talking about it so much that everybody wanted to get whatever I had. And so I had the book Living Check to Monday. Then I had the book Living Beyond Check to Monday. And then I was doing workshops. Now I had not arrived. I was still living in my testimony. I was still testing my testimony. Let me help you understand something. When you believe something, when you believe in a vision, when you believe in a dream, don't wait till the dream gets here to start testifying about it. Testify about it now. Testify about your bank account that has 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund. Testify about your paycheck from your next career or your next job. Testify about your business that's going to explode. Why? Because you have made the decision to change. You are going to talk about it, and you are not going to quit until you see what you said. You're going to speak what you seek until you see what you said. So I began to talk about it. And then I would be at big events talking about it, talking about my struggle, talking about being in bondage, talking about this path to freedom that I was on. And then people would buy all the stuff. And I went from not having $5 to sometimes leaving an event with 10,000 or 5,000. And it was all the truth. I wasn't saying or doing anything. I didn't have to do anything extra except be myself. I didn't have to pretend to be someone that I was not. All I had to do was be truly who I was. And that was a little girl who grew up in the projects, whose grandmother had a dream for her, who went after that dream and made some mistakes along the way. And once she fell down flat on her back, she looked up, like her friend Les Brown says, because if you can look up, you can get up. And what I am telling you is if you can look up, you can get up. So I kept trudging along. And then I began to get opportunities. I began to get promotions in my career. I got more access and more territory. And I was so afraid of hitting rock bottom ever again. I was so afraid that I just kept telling the truth. And I just kept telling the truth. You see, that place where you got to, if you're there now, be afraid of that. But don't let the fear stop you. The only thing that I am fearful of is not doing the things that I'm supposed to do to be upright and in integrity, not with people, but with God. So stand up with that. And I began to get more opportunities. And then I got the opportunity of a lifetime. I got the thing that I thought I could do. I got the thing that was in my heart. I turned away from my high 6-figure corporate paying job, very high, with stock options and benefits and all these wonderful things to go after my dream. And I got the opportunity of a lifetime running a company for Russell Simmons. And then very shortly after that, I got another opportunity of the lifetime. I was getting ready to go to the inauguration of Barack Obama, the very first one. Now, I don't know if you remember, but when Barack Obama got elected the first time, everybody, I mean, the night of the election, go back and Google, look at the hope. I remember seeing people in the crowd. I remember Oprah being in the crowd in Grant Park in Chicago with tears and people of all colors and nationalities coming together. I remember my grandmother, who at that time was in her late 80s, looking and thinking she never thought it was possible. I remember my brother and other African-American men just in awe, thinking that if a Black man could become president of the United States of America, then anything was possible. So guess what? Everybody wanted to go to the inauguration. And I had the opportunity to go, except I had decided to be free. You see, when you make the decision to be free, you're going to be faced with the test of your life. And then after you pass that test, you're going to be faced with more tests. And the more tests you pass, the more God will trust you with your next blessing, with your next assignment. I call it obedience. You know, my middle child, she has a dog. His name is Cody. He's here with us and he's jumping all on the bed, doing all kind of things. Let me tell y'all something. I must be free. Along with this natural hair, we got a dog hanging out everywhere, okay? There's all this kind of stuff that's happening, breaking all kind of codes, right? But here's the thing about a dog. When you train a dog, you tell the dog to sit. If the dog sits, then you say, good dog. And then guess what? Now you teach the dog to lie down. Then when the dog lies down, you say, good dog. And then when the dog lies down, then you teach it to roll over. And eventually the dog gets to learn more tricks and more tricks and more tricks. Now, we are certainly not animals, but our relationship with God is similar to that because we are required to obey. You see, the Bible says that obedience is better than sacrifice. So if you want to be free, you got to give up this idea that you're sacrificing. that you're spending money that you don't have. Okay, spending money you don't have to do this for your kids, do that for your boo, to do this for so and so. No, 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 no. Because 1 + 1 = 2. And if your stuff adds up to 10, it does not fit into 2. So what we have to do is obey the laws of mathematics. And in your obedience, God says, can you spend less money than you have? And when you do that, you pass that test, he says, good Vanessa, good Tanya, good, I see so many names here. Good Lynn Richardson, good Lynette. He says, okay, you pass that test, I'm going to give you a little more money. Okay, you pass that test, I'm going to expand your business. Okay, you pass that test, I'm going to give you more influence. Okay, you pass that test, I'm going to get you that new house. Okay, you pass that test, I'm going to make sure that you are aligned to collide with all of your blessings. But it only comes with obedience. So here I was living in obedience. It was January of 2009. And Reverend Dr. Trunell D. Felder had preached on December 31st, 2008. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understand the will of the Lord. That is Ephesians 5:15-17. And in this particular scripture, if I got it wrong, forgive me, but it's in Ephesians, okay? And so in this scripture, the lesson was, be careful. Don't be a fool. Make wise decisions. So here I am going into 2009. I finally got the opportunity, one of the opportunities of my dream. I'm living free. Barack Obama is president. I have an opportunity to go to the inauguration. But I didn't have enough money for my plane ticket. I didn't have enough money for a hotel. Everything else was going to be taken care of for me, but I didn't have those two things. Not only was I going to be taken care of when I got there, I was going to be at events with celebrities. And let me tell you, everybody who was somebody was there, because it was the first time in history that a Black man and his family had been in the White House. So guess what? I was supposed to be there. But I had heard that message. Have you heard a message that keeps ringing in the back of your mind? Have you heard a message that you know is true? And you know, if you follow these steps, you will get your breakthrough? Well, that's what it was for me. Every time my kids did something, I was like, see them that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. So I was saying it. So here I was getting ready to go to the inauguration. And I was going to take some of my bill money, like I always did. I was going to take some bill money and go, because this was a once in a lifetime opportunity. So clearly I could take my business money, my bill money, and then figure out how to pay it later, right? So I went into the living room. My husband was sitting in there reading something. And I said, you know, babe, I'm about to get ready to go to the inauguration. And he said, I know. He didn't look up. I said, you know, we really don't have the money for me to go. He said, I know. Now, my husband is just a wonderful man. You know, he loves me. He loves my kids. He pretty much does, you know, anything for us. His idea of a good evening out is staying home, watching movies. You know, he's that kind of guy. My grandma loved him. She actually gave him the keys to her place. I think she thought he was her boyfriend too. It's that kind of guy. So he's always got my back, and he's always going to encourage me to do the thing that's going to free us. So when I said, we don't have the money, and he said, I know. And I said, what do you think I should do? He finally looked up and he said, what does Ephesians 5:25 say? That's what it is. I said, wow. Ephesians 5:15. I'm sorry. It's Ephesians 5:15. I said, wow. So I went upstairs because I knew I was stuck. I was stuck between my old ways and freedom. I had met a crossroads between my old ways of doing whatever I wanted to do and figuring out a way to make it happen no matter what. I was stuck between that and the truth. I was stuck between what I wanted, what was going to look good, and what was going to be right. I was stuck between What am I going to do that I don't have to tell anybody that I didn't have the money. The only person who knows is me. I was stuck between that and only doing what I could teach. If you are spending more money than you have available, if you are in a relationship that's not serving you, if you are doing something that's less than what you know you deserve, and you figured out a way to justify in your head that you're going to stay there, I'm going to ask you this question. Can you teach it? Would you teach what you're doing to your daughter, to your son, to someone you love, to your parent? Would you teach it? If you wouldn't teach it, we can't do it. And so I went upstairs and I laid in my bed and I cried and I cried. I'm talking, I cried noise and fluid. Stuff was coming out of my eyes, my nose. I was just so devastated. It was like a whirlwind of everybody who was going to be there. I wasn't going to be there. What am I going to say to people? And so finally I stopped crying, but I had a terrible headache. You know, when you do that cry, you got a headache. I got a headache. And then I said, okay, I'm going to stay home. I'm going to do the right thing, but I'm not going to tell anybody. See, I was going to stay home, but not tell anybody that I stayed home. I just wasn't going to call anybody. That's what I thought. You know, when you are trying to break through, you put all kinds of things in your head. So about 10 minutes after me saying that, here comes my brother calling. I see his number on the phone. I'm like, oh, goodness, what is he? Okay, so I picked up the phone. Sis, where you at? You at the inauguration? You on your way? I had two choices. Stay in bondage or be free. Lie and pretend like I'm still going to this, that, and the other, or be free. Act like the Joneses who probably broke too, or be free. Do what I always did and keep getting what I always got, or be free. Tell him the truth so he can learn something too, so I can pass the test and get to my next level, or be free. I chose to be free. I told him I couldn't afford to go, so I was staying home. That opened his eyes. He said, oh my God, wow, sis, okay. And I could just tell that something was different. And yes, I was different. And after I got through crying because of all the stuff that I said I was going to miss and all the people that I wasn't going to see and this, that, and the other, guess what? I realized I didn't want to go anyway. See, some of the stuff that you're holding on to, that you are in bondage because of, you don't even really want. You are caught up with the thought of it. You are caught up with the ideology of it. You are stuck on what it looks like, what it feels like, what they told you, but it's bad. It's not serving you. It's not serving you. It's not getting you where you want to go. And that is freedom. It's not getting you there. Everybody who knows me knows I hate being in the cold. It was so cold that year. I could see the smoke coming off Aretha Franklin's beautiful. I could just see it. And I stayed home and I lived in truth. And I watched it from my living room. Mind you, my house was still in foreclosure. We were going through a modification. We were at the beginning of going through a modification. The recession had hit. My 401k, all that was gone. I didn't need to be going anyway. Okay, so fast forward later that year, I thought I was going up for an opportunity. I wound up running the company. I wound up meeting all these folks. I wound up doing all these great things. My book started selling and all this stuff. And then for the 2013 inauguration, not only was I there, but I was in charge. You see, sometimes you're going to do the very thing that you think you need to do in order to get in the room. But because you didn't get there the right way, you're not going to stay. Sometimes you're going to take the money from one thing and spend it on another and then find out that you're going to be right back in the same situation 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years later because we didn't get it the right way. So if you want freedom, it's going to cost you. I'm telling you. It's going to cost you. Nothing is free. If you go to the grocery store and you want some bread, it's going to cost you $2. You got to give up $2. If you go to the department store and you want some toothpaste, you got to give up $2.75 plus tax. If you go anywhere, you go on Amazon, so you think you can go get some toothpaste it's going to cost you. You think freedom is free? Freedom is not free. You're going to have to give up something. So let's go through the list of things that you're going to have to give up. You might want to start to write this list down. You're going to have to give up addiction. What are you addicted to? Are you addicted to your own story? You need some of us are addicted to our own story. I was addicted to, when I grew up, I witnessed domestic violence, and so da 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 da. And somebody told me one day, so what? I was addicted to that story because that story made me look and feel like a victim. So I guess people could feel sorry for me or whatever it was, when really I needed to let that go. I'm good. I'm praying for the folks who were involved, but guess what? I'm good. I was addicted to looking like I could take care of everything when I could. I was addicted to knowing everything. There was a time in my life where if you asked me a question 9.99999 times out of 10, I'd get the right answer. But if I didn't have the right answer, I'd feel some type of way. I could feel it in my spirit. I'd either look a certain way or I'd feel inadequate. I gave up wanting to know everything. Now, when somebody asks me something I don't know, I say, I don't know. My students ask me, what form do I use when I file my taxes? I don't know. I'm not a tax preparer. I don't know. Are you addicted to spending? Are you addicted? What about, are you buying too many clothes? How do you feel when you go shop for clothing that you already have that you know you don't need? Does it make you feel good? You got to give up that addiction. What about when you give your kids money that you know you don't have for shoes that they don't need or the next video game they don't need and so on and so forth? So then they can go out with the other kids and the other kids, they can all keep up this and the other. What you going to do? Teach your kids how to be broke? Teach your kids how to spend more money because of the addiction to making them feel good? Here's the deal. Sometimes we got to give up the thing that makes us feel good. We actually need to feel bad about some things. I felt bad about my kids' first Christmas when I couldn't provide them with all the stuff that I was providing them for. I felt bad when I had to tell people no. And let me tell you something about telling people no. No is a complete sentence. You've heard me say that before, but if you want to be free, you're going to have to give up some stuff. And if you're going to have to give, one of the things you have to give up is the addiction to people pleasing. Stop trying to please people. They're liking you or not liking you. Let me tell you something. Praise and blame is all the same, right? Because the people who are there for you, who are down for you, who are ready to be on your team, to cheer, to ride or die with you, to go, they're there when you up and they're there when you down. And you don't have to please them. Your very existence is enough. You're going to have to give up addiction. The other thing you're going to have to give up is delusion. Delusion are the things that you're telling yourself that are not true. There are some things that you're telling yourself that, let me tell you one of the things I used to tell myself. I used to tell myself I was smart, but I was in dumb situations. You're not smart if you're in a dumb situation, not in my book. You're not smart if you keep ending up in dumb circumstances. You're not smart if you keep making the same. That's not smart. And then I was measuring smart by academic intellect, because I always got straight A's and I was in the AP classes and I went to one of the nation's, the world's top universities. So yes, I was intellectually and academically smart, but in real life, I was in dumb situations. See, that delusion continued to feed my bad behavior. What delusion have you told yourself? Oh, he beats me because he loves me. Oh, this person in my life, I know I feel bad, but all of these things, there are buts attached to them. The delusions are the thoughts that are in your head that are not true, but you've made them true. Take a look at those. If you want to be free, you're going to have to give up illusion. Illusions of grandeur. Illusions of what things look like. The illusions that you see on social media. The illusions that you see all over YouTube, the illusions that you see on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, the illusions that you see at your neighbor's house, the illusions that you see on the block. You see something and you believe it's something else, but you don't really know what it is. What you've got to adapt and accept and draw close to is yourself. Be clear about who you are. And on the reverse, sometimes we will take something and make it look something else to serve us. Oh, that person is mean because they told you no, they're not going to loan you any money. You didn't need any. Let me tell you something. When people come asking me to borrow money, you're going to get a class. That's what you're going to get. You'll get a class. Okay? Doesn't mean I'm not going to give you the money, but what it means is I'm going to teach you something so you don't have to come here again. Not because I can't afford to give it to you, but because you can't afford not to learn this lesson. And what I've learned is once you get the lesson, then you can truly get the blessing. You're going to have to give up. So if you want to be free, you're going to have to give up addiction. You're going to have to give up delusion. What are those thoughts that you're telling yourself that aren't true? You're going to have to give up illusion. Worried about the way things look, the car you drive, the clothes you wear, what something looks like, what somebody said. Let me tell you something. None of that can get you where you are trying to go. You're going to have to give up collusion. You see, misery loves company. Who are your friends? If you have 5 broke friends, you're going to be number 6. If you have 10 broke friends, you're going to be number 11. Who are you around? Are you around a whole lot of people who badmouth women, or a whole lot of people who badmouth men, or a whole lot of people who hate on everybody, or a whole lot of people, whatever it is? That negativity isn't going to get you anywhere. It's collusion. You see, we like to be familiar. We like to be connected to what we're familiar with. You ever been in a situation where 2 people have a friend and then both of you don't like the person, and because both you don't like that person, now you friends? You see, those relationships and those attachments that are built out of collusion, and God forbid you try to go take somebody down. God forbid you go behind somebody's back, try to steal their money, their man, their business, or whatever the case may be. It won't work. We've got to give up addiction. We've got to give up delusion. We've got to give up illusion. We've got to give up collusion. And we've got to give up confusion. You've got to clean house. You've got to clean house physically. You've got to clean house mentally. You've got to clean house emotionally. And then you've got to get to work. If you want to be free and you want to start a business, I don't care if you work 22 hours. You need to figure out a way to squeeze somewhere in that 22 hours, 22 minutes, 22 seconds, every hour, every 10 minutes, whatever, so that you can get on the path to accomplishing your dreams. Because let me tell you something. Everybody who crosses the finish line were broke down, tired right before. Okay. Nobody crosses the finish line walking like, hey, I crossed the finish line. No, when you cross the finish line, you are sweaty. When you cross the finish line, you are tired. When you cross the finish line, you are confused. You have given it all you got. So if you're going to cross the finish line, you're going to have to keep giving it all you got. And that means you're going to have to minimize confusion. Know the voice of the Lord by first listening to your own self and your own truth. Make a decision to change. Make a decision to be who it is that you see. Speak what you seek until you see what you've said. Now, here's some of the other things that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to give up. If you're going to give up addiction, then you're going to have to take on good habits. You see, addiction is just habits that do not serve us. So now you're going to pick up habits that will serve you. If you're in the 21 days to financial freedom, then you are going through tracking your spending and doing those things. You just now got to become addicted to something else. You know, there was a time when I didn't want to tell anybody no, and then I got addicted to saying no. And I was like, wait a minute, I think I'm saying no too much to everybody. So you've got to pick up new habits. If you're going to give up delusion, then you are going to accept the truth. You might be walking around thinking 1 + 1 = 3. 1 + 1 = 3. But then someone says 1 + 1 = 2, and they prove it to you. Now that's your new truth. You may have spent too much money on Christmas, too much money during the pandemic, too much money with your unemployment check, too much money on back to school, too much money on the 4th of July. And you may have justified it in your head. But at the end of the day, some say money talks, but I say money walks away from you quietly and you don't know where it went. And let me tell you something, money doesn't lie because numbers don't lie. So living below your means is the truth. If you want to give up illusion, the way things look, then pray to be accepting for what things are. You see, when I was at the bottom in 2006, I simply accepted this is what it's become. This is what it is. I can't pretend that it's something else anymore. And once I accepted what it is, I had the power to change it. And let me tell you something about fear. Don't fear losing friends. Don't fear losing favor. Don't fear losing power, because anything that you're afraid of losing, you've already lost it because you gave it your power. But when you say to yourself, you know what? It's okay. I'll let that go. You'd be amazed how it comes back and turns around. If you want to give up collusion, partnering with folks and people, who's your company? You know who you chit chat on the phone with every day. One of the things I do in my class, the Master Achievement Plan, which is available to everybody in the Entrepreneurs Academy and Wealth Ambassadors. And one of the things that I do in the Master Achievement Plan is I give you a daily checklist for each one of your goals. You create that. Why do you create that checklist? Because once I created my checklist, then I didn't have any time to chit chat on the phone. My checklist. I had a list of things to do for every single one of my goals. And by the time I got through that checklist, I didn't have time for anything else. Okay? So you're going to give up collusion and you're going to embrace community. Community that uplifts and community that builds. If you are going to give up confusion, you're going to stop the madness. You're going to stop spinning around. You're going to stop doing the things that you know aren't serving you. And you're going to trust that there is something else, that there is another way. When I was at the bottom, you see, I thought I was the goose that laid the golden egg. Literally, I told somebody that. I was like, don't you know I'm the goose that laid the golden egg? Let me tell you something. I was a chicken with no nest. All right. That's what I was. No nest, no eggs or nothing. And what I had to do in this particular moment, when I decided to give up confusion, stop telling myself lies, stop putting lies out there, declutter, clean house mentally, clean house emotionally, forgive yourself. You've got to forgive yourself. Freedom is not free. You're going to have to give up feeling bad about everything that you did wrong. Now, it doesn't mean that you lack compassion. It doesn't mean that you lack the ability to apologize. Maybe there are some folks you need to apologize to for your behavior. Maybe there are some things you've done in your finances or your relationships that you know you could have done better, or now that you see better, you can do better. Go on, make those apologies, either verbally, text, email, and writing. Let me tell you something, I don't have any rules for the process of forgiveness and releasing yourself. However you need to do it. Some people you can't talk to, you can't confront. Okay, send them a message. Mail, FedEx, email, whatever, inbox, Instagram. There are people that I had to go back years. I had to go back. And you all know, Ingrid and I were friends a long time ago. And then I was crazy in my 20s. And then later in my 30s, 40s. I went back to a Facebook inbox and I apologized. And she is my sister. So in this process of giving up confusion and accepting the truth and forgiving yourself and accepting who you are, and then making a decision to move forth. Stay on focus. What is it that you want? If you don't know what you want, perhaps you need someone to help you devise a plan. If you don't know how to stop living check to 2 o'clock, perhaps you need someone to help you devise a plan. If you don't know how to stop overspending on your kids or your significant other or a parent or your cousin or those people who are depending on you, and you have pretended so long that you can help them, but you really can't, if you need a plan, then ask for help. Freedom is not free. What are you going to give up? What addiction are you going to give up? What delusion are you going to give up? What illusion are you going to give up? What collusion are you going to break away from? And what confusion are you going to be set free from? It's your time. It's your season. The harvest is here. The time is now. And all you have to do is believe in your freedom. And it's up here. And it's in here. Doesn't matter what your circumstances are. Doesn't matter if you haven't paid your bills. Doesn't matter if the bill collectors are calling. Doesn't matter if you file bankruptcy, you're facing bankruptcy. Doesn't matter if you don't have anything. What matters is what goes on up here. And then what comes out through here. It's your time. I want you to be free. It is time for you to take your life back. Take your purpose back. Take your money back. Take your mind back. Take your dreams back, take your joy back, and take your peace back. If you need help, I'm here. And I have a whole team of people to help you. I run production companies. We're doing TV and film and all kind of stuff. And I do this because I know somebody out there wants to be free. Is it you? Go to asklynn.org. Listen to this again. We're going to post it, share it, take the little clips, write down the things that are going to remind you of who you are and where you're trying to go. And know that if nobody's rooting for you, I am. It's freedom time. Bye-bye.